Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my third trimester recap. So let's get right into it. So my last recap, I ended off like right before Christmas, which I was 28 weeks. And right on Christmas, I remember I had terrible heartburn. That's like when my heartburn like really kicked up. Um, Especially because I wasn't eating the best because of the holidays. So my heartburn was really bad. It was making me like extremely nauseous. Tums weren't working, so I had to actually go to CVS and get my Lanta to actually help with it, and that helped so much because my heartburn was so bad. Like, I got sick because my heartburn was that bad. So in my third trimester, my heartburn was bad, and I did my 3 hour, no, what was it? No, it wasn't my 3 hour. It was my 1 hour glucose test again, and I actually failed it. So then they diagnosed me with gestational diabetes. And when I talked to my doctor, she was saying that I should control it with a diet, which was high protein and low carb diet. So, and she said if my numbers were okay with that, then I could just stick with the diet and just check my sugars every 2 hours after I ate and made sure that I was eating snacks in between. So I would check my sugar when I first woke up and then eat. And then 2 hours after I ate, I would check it again and have a snack. And then I would repeat that throughout the day. So I would check my sugar 4 times a day. Once when I woke up, once 2 hours after breakfast, 2 hours after lunch, and 2 hours after dinner. So, and luckily I didn't have to take insulin. They said if my sugars weren't like controlled with the diet that I would have to do insulin shots, but thankfully I didn't have to do that, which I was very blessed that I didn't have to do that. So I had gestational diabetes from when I was I want to say 28 weeks pregnant until I gave birth, so I would check my sugars for all those weeks. So basically like my whole third trimester that I would have to check my sugars 4 times a day. But luckily with being on that diet, my heartburn did get a lot better. I still had heartburn, but it wasn't as bad because I was on that controlled diet, and it was a really clean diet too. Some other things some other symptoms that I had were cravings. I was craving like a lot of meat, like hamburgers, which was weird because I had an aversion to like ground beef like the whole time, and then I started craving like Wendy's, like hamburgers, in my third trimester. And then I was also still craving sweets, but that was kind of hard with the diet that I was on. So to control that craving, I would have like yogurt and graham crackers, especially at night. I would have like a sweet treat right before I go to bed to fill that craving. Some other things that were going on, I had Charlie horses. I would wake up in the middle of the night with like my calves like really hurting. So I would get like a Charlie horse, and then after like the Charlie horse was done, like my legs still feel cramped like the rest of the day and sore. But also I would have night sweats. So I would wake up in the middle of the night like so hot and like covered in sweat. That was not fun. So let's get into some of the things that I wrote down. I have my app, that's why I'm looking at my phone. On January 1st, I wrote down I had a hard time breathing all day, and it feels like his head is in between my lungs. He felt really high for the longest time, like right in between my lungs, and it was so hard to breathe, especially like walking up the stairs, any kind of walking. And especially at night too, I could feel him like very high up. And that was around 29 weeks. So the next thing I wrote was 31 weeks. And I said again, ate dinner and felt like lungs were being pushed out, but also felt like there was something in between my lungs, but he was also kicking down low. So he just felt like his head was high up, but like his legs were low. and that was 31 weeks. 33 weeks, I put feet swollen tonight, but probably because I was laying down for a while and sat in the car. My feet started to swell a little bit around this time, but honestly, it wasn't as bad as when, towards the end of my pregnancy, like the last couple of weeks, that my feet and like ankles were so swollen that would have to like keep them up at work if I was like sitting down like doing emails, or like when I got home, and especially at night. I remember I like propped my feet up with like 2 pillows just to try and get the swelling down. And then also at 33 weeks, I put right lower back pain and discomfort, um, right pelvic pains at night too. So I remember that day I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I having Braxton Hicks? Is this like false labor? Because I was just not feeling the best that night, and I just felt like something was off. And actually, Jaron was like, do I need to take you to the hospital? I'm like, no, I think I'm fine. Turns out I was fine, but I think that was when he started to like flip. So, because I was feeling a lot of discomfort like in my lower back and like in my pelvis, and I just felt like really crummy. So I think that's like when he started flipping, which was nice because I didn't have to worry about that. 34 weeks. This is when I started to like feel like really gross, and like I was so uncomfortable, and I was just like, I'm like done. Like, I want this baby out of me. I said, since Thursday, I have felt nauseous every time I eat, like to the point I feel like I'm gonna get sick, and I get full quicker and have a hard time finishing meals. I definitely felt more bloated and just like I didn't have much of an appetite, and I was like just really uncomfortable. Like, I didn't want to eat because every time I ate, like I felt like I was gonna get sick, or like sometimes I would actually get sick, which is not fun. And then I didn't write anything until 36 weeks. Oh, that's when I had a sinus infection, and I was like, I can't be sick because I'm gonna be giving birth soon. And I was like, oh, like I hope I'm okay. And I like couldn't breathe. I was coughing a lot. Like I was down and out. Like I did not feel good at all. And that lasted like a week or two. And um, when I went, I think it was 36 weeks or 37. My doctor and we talked about getting induced just because my gestational diabetes, I was worried about that he was going to be really big because of that, because they said gestational diabetes babies can be a little bit bigger, or you can have more amniotic fluid. Thankfully, I didn't have an excess of amniotic fluid, but he was on the bigger side. They said he was going to be like, what was it? A week. He was measuring a week and a half ahead, especially his legs and his head. So I was kind of concerned about that, and I was just feeling like really crummy, and I was constantly having cramps. I thought I was having Braxton Hicks, but now looking back, I really don't think I was. I think it was just very crampy. And they did, was it 37 or 30? I think it was 37 weeks when they did a cervix exam, and I was already 1.5 centimeters dilated. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm already 1.5. Like this kid's like gonna come soon, or like my body's getting ready. Well, that didn't happen, but so we discussed at my 37-week appointment that we were gonna do an induction. My doctor was okay with that, especially because I was worried about. I talked to her about my concerns, and she was okay with inducing me. So I got induced March 10th at 8 p.m. I also wrote for 36 weeks that I couldn't get my shoes on without hurting. Bending down was very hard. Sorry about that. My battery died, and I'm still getting used to this camera. It will tell you that the battery's exhausted and just shut off. So what I was saying was, at 36 weeks, like right before 37 weeks, whenever I like put my shoes on, especially like sneakers or my Uggs, because it was still like really cold and like snowy, it would hurt like the bend over my stomach. It was very hard to do that. Like I had to have Jaren help me put my shoes on most of the time towards the end, because it was very uncomfortable and hard to get them on because my stomach was so big at that end. So, and I, at the end, I pretty much wore like slip-on sneakers because I couldn't get anything else on by myself, especially in the morning. 37 weeks, I said, I got sick, felt crummy all day, took 2 naps, think he dropped because I can breathe and he's kicking low, extremely thirsty and craving pebble ice. Which is kind of funny because I didn't crave like ice at all my whole pregnancy, but I guess I did that day. I remember feeling terrible that day. 38 weeks. I didn't put anything for 38 weeks. And then, what else was I feeling? Yeah, I just remember like 37 through like right up until I gave birth, I was still like getting over my sinus infection. And actually, when I was like in the hospital, I still had like a cough, and that hurt so bad, especially after giving birth. But my third trimester wasn't bad. I was just very tired and ready for him to come. But overall, looking back, I had a really easy pregnancy, which I'm truly blessed for. Considering, and even though I had gestational diabetes, it really wasn't that bad. And I know what to prepare for next time. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And my next video will be my birth vlog. So stay tuned.